So, this year has seen a lot of announcements regarding social media safety and social media policies. One of the first and most important things to note is that Australia has passed the world first law banning under 16s from social media, despite safety concerns. So, the concerns are that if this bill comes into force, which is likely to happen in the next year, then a lot of under 16-year-olds will be pushed towards the dark web in order to access social media and will be accessing it in an unsafe, unregulated format. So it'll be really interesting to see how Australia manages to pull this off. And they've got a year to do it. So the social media platforms have been tasked with basically making themselves, um, getting themselves in a good place development wise so that they can stop under 16s from being able to access. They also need to think about how they're going to get people to prove that they are 16 as well and how that will work. The UK is very much looking to see what Australia does, and it's certainly on the table. But we're definitely a good few years off this coming into action because I think we just have to first of all see if it works over in Australia. But of course, we have seen a lot of moves from the social media platforms to make it safer to use social media. We're seeing a lot more awareness and education around the potential risks of mental health, particularly amongst the young people. Just this morning, I read that California may well be passing a bill which will allow for warning signs to be visible on the social media platforms for under 16s. We're also seeing updates around the European Safety Forum, where there's now more regulators and more social media platforms involved in these conversations. So I think it's really important to note that before the end of the year of next year, we'll probably see a few more of these sorts of moves from the social media platforms where they are beginning to approach safety far more seriously than what they have been doing before. This year, we also saw Instagram teen accounts being launched, which gives more control to parents. It also has things like message restrictions, so they can only be messaged by people they follow or are already connected to. There's a lot of sensitive content restrictions. There's also interaction limitations, so they can only be tagged or mentioned by people they follow, or they can hide particular words, offensive words or phrases that they don't want to see. There's also time limits, so they will get booted off the app after an hour each day, and also a sleep mode that will be turned on between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m., which will mute notifications overnight and send auto replies to DMs. So, some beginning efforts from Meta to protect young people, but I think we're about to see far more in the world of social media platforms. The other thing to note is the spread of misinformation on social media, which is, of course, a growing concern every year. This is exacerbated by the rise of AI generated content, and we've seen a lot of these sorts of parody accounts or fake accounts, deep fake videos of famous politicians or celebrities, which is really important because, of course, that level of trust is no longer there across social media. So we're starting to see platforms begin to label content a little bit more, like this parody account label, which was added to this fake Jerome Powell account, who's the chair of the Federal Reserve of the US. We're beginning to see more AI labels on videos. This video was created using AI. I think eventually we probably will see this become law. Blue Sky are actually one of the platforms leading the way regarding misinformation and impersonation policies. So, really interesting to see what they're doing. And they say they've quadrupled the size of their moderation team recently Whereas you compare that to X, where they got rid of most of their moderators on the platform. So I feel positive that 2025 will bring some good changes to the social media landscape. I think from a marketing point of view, it's really important if you are targeting children or teens just to be aware of what those restrictions are, who you can advertise to, where's safe to post content, who you're sending that content to as well, who you are marketing it to. Is it the parents? And also just educating yourselves on what is and isn't allowed. I also think it's really important to note that as social media marketers, we spend so much of our time online, and we do need to take breaks from that. We do need to have digital detoxes now and again. So I think it's really important, if you are planning to have a bit of time off over the holidays, to make sure you try and have some screen free time where possible, because it can get very, very intense.